Coming up next, the Screensavers, followed by Players at 8 and Sweat at 8:30.
Coming up tonight, from devastation to animation inside a flight data recorder. Plus, one of the most basic tools every modder should have. And get electric with Photoshop expert Bert Monroy. He's back! Live from the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers!
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us on the Screensavers. This is the show that keeps you on the cutting edge of technology with product reviews, bleeding edge, product reviews, kilts, and the very best in computer help.
Probably the only computer help on TV.
That wears kilts. When was the last time you wore a kilt on the show?
It's been a couple months.
Couple months?
Is it time for a kilt?
It's time for a kilt. Audience, do you want to see Patrick in a kilt?
All right. Tomorrow I'll wear the kilt. For Kevin in the audience, tonight we have a great show, though. Kilt-free, but still a great show. We're going to go inside the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, to see how black box data, which is actually an orange box data.
This is scary.
This is if you're flying any time in the next week, do not watch this segment because you're going to watch it and you're going to be like me because I just got off a plane when I did this.
Right.
You're just going to be like, oh,
I don't know if I want to watch it.
It's trippy. Now, on the flip side, for all you morbid folks out there, you're going to love this one.
Nice.
Plus, we got Photoshop expert Bert Monroy here with a lightning tutorial, which meshes nicely with the NTSB whole crashing plane. Can we get a crashing plane with the lightning, Bert? Bert's on it. And learn how to use a multimeter. Yoshi's going to show you how to use the tool properly.
Very nice.
Dan, you got any morbid, scary, sketchy stuff coming up?
No, I'm taking your phone calls. That's not morbid and
Well,
scary.
you're getting on the plane soon, though. When are you leaving? Friday?
I'm leaving, Friday.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Moorestown, New Jersey.
Very nice.
For Digital Digs, which I'll be telling you a little bit later in the show. But don't forget, we're taking your live calls every weekday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. So even if you're watching a repeat of our show on Tuesdays and Fridays, we're still here, taping shows and taking your live calls. Now, the number is 888-989-7879. And the email address is thescreensavers@techtv.com. So there you go.
Cool.
Now you know.
Nice. Good to know.
Excellent. Let's start off with the tech news that caught our eye today. Sarah has the first story.
I sure do. AMD announced that their new dual-core processor design will hit store shelves next year. The 64-bit processor will act and run like two processors, effectively doubling the chip speed. Now, Intel's dual-core processor design won't be ready until 2006, so AMD 1 year, Intel 2. I heard you guys snickering about that earlier.
We're getting mixed reports back.
This is like, a lot of people jumped on this AMD press release today, and they're like, oh my God, they're going to ship earlier than Intel. And now, with 64-bit processors, yeah,
I read it.
So 5 weeks ago, back around May 7th, Intel basically said, our engineers are so far ahead of the game, right? They're talking to financial analysts in New York, right? This is all speculative. This is all about,
this is all PR hype.
This is like 6 months to like a year out, but they're both, the crux of the deal is Intel saying, we've dropped our original plans to wait until 2006 for dual-core processors. What we have is dual-core processors, and they're like AMD. We're going to ship dual-core processors for servers mid-2005, and they're going to be working on desktop, like consumer desktops and notebooks and stuff by the end of 2005.
Do you feel the same way I do about this? I feel like it's like more like video cards, how they talk about the launch of a product and then we don't see it till 2 years later.
Yeah, and it's like, because it's like one of them comes out and says, we will eventually be using 474-bit technology at insert name of processor manufacturer here. And then every other processor manager goes, well, we're going to have 472-bit processors in like someday too.
Yeah, and they're like, in 2027, under their breath.
You know, and exactly, but everybody's saying 2027, right? And nobody's talking about the pricing. and everybody's like AMD, but AMD 64-bit. And it's like, yeah, AMD 64-bit, and someday we'll have Windows that'll run on 64-bit.
Yeah, right.
Take advantage of 64-bit processing.
People forget that, though.
Right.
They read the marketing hype. It's just like, the whole gigahertz myth with Intel and AMD going back and forth.
And it's interesting because, Intel was like, you sell processors by having a faster megahertz rating.
Right.
And Intel finally, forget it. It's like the M7, it's like BMW numbering schemes, which only Joshua Brentano on the entire staff understands. He's sitting there because it's like the 700, the 750, the 755, the 732, not to be confused with the 848A.
But not to worry for all you out there. Don't let Patrick confuse you. We're going to keep you. Yeah, people have no idea. They're like, what are you talking about?
Here's the thing, though. Either way, faster processors, dual core, more legitimate dual processor technology than the hyper-threading, which a lot of people are like, hey, the operating system already sees, Intel processors at the highest level as having dual core and representing.
It helped a little bit, though.
Yeah, it helps a little bit. It's going to help a lot more if there's actually applications and, more precisely for most people, video tools and video games that actually take advantage of the dual processor core.
So we got another year to wait.
And we also need the software to catch up with it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Next story.
Next story. Yahoo Mail users had a happy surprise yesterday as Yahoo has finally launched their 100 meg free email accounts, which is 25 times what they were providing users previously. To compete with Google's ultra-hyped Gmail, Yahoo has also decided to offer their paid users 2 gigs of storage, and have lowered the annual price from about 30 to about 20. So it's not that much. 2 gigs of storage. They've also freed up email addresses that have been inactive for years, so maybe Kilt Guy at Yahoo is finally available, Patrick?
Yeah!
So what do you think, guys? You think they're finally, you think they're getting a little safer? Everybody's talking about Gmail. What do you think?
It's kind of funny, like right now, between the Yahoo account I've had for years and the 2 Gmail accounts I have 4 gigabytes of email storage. I don't even think who once have 9 gigabytes on my notes account, like in storage, I got like 4 years worth of email from.
Yeah, but you don't jump ship. You're saying that you're still going to stick with Yahoo. You're happy with it.
Well, it's like if you think about it, if all of your I don't know, maybe I'm just too lazy to change like all of the different email postings,
newsletters, friends, things like that,
financial stuff. Maybe I'm just too lazy to change it.
I was stoked. I think Gmail's going to take over, man. I'm telling you, everyone seems to be on that bandwagon. The invites are like coming out like crazy. Everyone's getting really stoked.
When's it going to ship?
Hopefully within the next few weeks. Yeah. They're giving out more and more invitations down.
True.
In fact, I wanted to mention that to everybody out there. I have had 13 Gmail invites in the last couple weeks.
Right.
So my friends and I put together this page. Take a look at this here. This is a website that we're giving away the Gmail accounts completely free. Nothing you have to do. No email addresses, no nothing. But you click refresh, and if you get the random number, notice the number is changing.
Right.
If you get the right number, it instantly gives you an account to sign up. And we've got a lot of people. We have over 3 million, or actually now 4 million times the page has been refreshed, giving away over 30 Gmail accounts.
You're not even collecting email addresses?
No, nothing. It's just you sign up on there and you get a free Gmail account if you get the right number.
You charge like $1 per shot?
I want to give them away. So many people want them. I've gotten so many emails.
Dark Tipper we knew and loved. You could be making bank on this.
Dude, I don't know. I thought I'd give them away. Link kevinrose.com if you want to check it out.
How cool is that?
Free Gmail.
Nicely done. Sarah?
What is the beat?
One of our audience members.
All right, moving on.
Crazy.
Akamai Technologies, whose services include caching internet content and serving web pages, was the target of a denial of service attack yesterday. Now, this is a little bigger than it sounds because Akamai's customers include Yahoo, Google, FedEx, Microsoft, and Apple, many of whom experienced outages during the day.
Yeah, it's kind
of funny. A lot of people don't understand what caching servers are,
Akamai's whole reason for existing is that so your servers never get slammed because they have servers all over the country and probably all over the world.
Well, they totally private label it. They don't say that this is who we represent, or maybe they do on their website. But basically, if there's certain times that you go to certain, FedEx, or you go to certain Yahoo and Microsoft sites, it pulls it from a caching server. It doesn't have to go all the way to Microsoft. It finds something local that it can send it to you and save you some time, some page load time.
Right.
So when these little hubs go down, then you're running into some big problems.
Yeah.
So this is what we experienced yesterday.
Yeah, the whole point of Akamai is to prevent downtime on server loads, and for them to get DOS'd and messed with, they got to be nervous.
Not a good thing.
Not a good thing at all. So hopefully we'll find out what was going on with there and what they're going to do to stop it from happening again.
But they are back up now, which is good.
It's a good thing. Good news, Sarah.
Thanks.
Sarah.
Well, I mean, a good selection of news. The Akamai going down is kind of depressing.
I didn't make that stuff happen. I just say what I hear.
Sarah's been busy. She designed the dual-core AMD processor.
And I took down Akamai.
Yeah!
I've been busy, Have a good show.
I tried to pull her away from that processor design, and she just, she fights me. Fun
Who was
stuff.
up all night writing that Google page
That's
thing?
right.
Yeah.
That was me.
All right.
All right. Joins us on the G4 Tech TV Netcam network. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Chatsworth, California.
Cool.
All right.
How you doing today, man?
Good.
How can we help you?
Yeah, I'm in the market for upgrading my video performance, and I'm wondering, should I get a new video card or a new 21-inch monitor?
Ooh, what kind of video card do you have?
I got a GeForce FX 5600.
Do you do, well, I suspect you don't do a lot of 3D gaming, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of 3D.
Well, I was going to say, that's you're looking to play like Far Cry and all that good stuff?
How's it running right now? I mean, that's a decent card, FX series, 5600.
Yeah, it runs good, but I have to put all my details on low so I can run the smooth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny. I've got like the $500 system I built last year is my system at home, and it's got a 5200. It's like, man, I can play Halo at 800 by 600.
Yeah.
So it's like, now you can buy like a 9800 for under $200, like a 9800 Pro, I think. And it's a tough call.
It is a tough call.
If you get, what kind of processor do you have?
Athlon XP 2600.
You got
That's decent.
Yeah, it's enough power there. I mean, it's amazing to look at how much or how fast like graphics cards prices are falling. Like Radeon, X800 XT, like these are like the hot cards right now. The
Right.
Pro is almost as fast as the XTs, $400. These are like the two fastest cards out there, $400 or $500. But if you scroll just a little bit down, you start looking at the 9800 Pro for $128, or excuse me, 128 megabyte memory for $169. That's a pretty good swap. The thing is, if you go for a really fast card, right, and you have a 17-inch monitor, you can't really see much.
Especially if it's an older 17-inch monitor, and there's certain things with refresh rates and deals like that.
Right.
I don't know. I would probably upgrade the monitor, but I do other things other than gaming,
Exactly.
I like a big 19-inch monitor.
Because I can imagine, especially if you want to start playing Far Cry, that new graphic, like the graphics card you have now is just going to get beat on by Far Cry. Your processor's fast enough.
Well, the nice thing, though, is that at these prices, he could get the 19-inch CRT and the card for,
Right.
$350, somewhere around there.
Think you
It's
can
not a bad
swing
deal.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably, like a Radeon 9800, or go for something a little bit slower than that. Well, you know what, 9800 probably about as slow as I'd go if I was buying a new,
Right.
if I wanted to do some serious gaming. I would probably, and maybe if all your games are running okay for now, go ahead and buy the monitor first, and then turn around and follow that up with the graphics card. Because, over time, like, monitor prices aren't going to drop that much over the next year, but the card that's $400 now is going to be $200 by Christmas.
And if you're looking to save some cash, don't go LCD at this time. The high refresh rate LCDs are still really expensive.
Yeah, inexpensive LCDs are really frustrating to play video games on.
CRT for sure.
So, okay, man?
Okay, thanks.
Have fun.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks.
And, of course, a
The
T-shirt.
fabulous Screensaver T-shirt for calling in on a Netcam. We are just getting started. Supercharged Photoshop creations with some spectacular lighting effects. Photoshop expert Bert Monroy is going to show you how to do lighting and so much more after the break. And you know what? We're going to go inside the Communications Center of the National Transportation Safety Board to find out, how information from a flight data recorder is converted to a detailed animation. This is the longest piece ever.
G4 Tech TV. Stay connected. For more information, go to g4techtv.com.
The Screensaver was in Washington last month, or actually back in May. I had the chance to visit the National Communications Center at the National Transportation and Safety Board. It's a spooky place to be 20 minutes after you've gotten off a plane. Why? Because whenever something goes wrong with a flight, they get the call first. It's a typical government office building with highly unique work going on inside. Let's take a look at what's happening.
We're here at the National Transportation Safety Board to learn about flight data recorders, the black boxes that are actually orange, and how the information gets from the box onto the screen so you can actually analyze it and figure out what happened when you have an event.
We're now in the Flight Data Laboratory. We're going to join Casey Johnson. She's one of the engineers that works here. She's going to tell us all about flight data recorders. Casey, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Hi, thank you.
So how long have planes been required to have flight data recorders on them?
They were required in 1961, 1962 to have recorders, and the first recorders on airplanes were the foil recorders. They only had 5 parameters were recorded, and they were scratched onto the actual foil. The next generation of recorder was tape. It's required by law to have 25 hours of flight data recorder data. And then it got moved to solid state, the computer chips.
Is this another example of one of the boards? Or?
Yes, this is a newer example of a flight data recorder.
I notice on the end of this it says the Datasonics Emergency Locating Beacon. Is that actually what you're tracking when you're looking for a flight data recorder?
When it goes in the water.
Okay.
Only water only. So if it's on ground, which is most of them, it's the orange.
And I noticed you were talking earlier about this is one of the latest generation. I noticed it almost looks like a SCSI jack. Is that where the information actually gets pulled out or transferred?
Yes.
Can we look at what the process looks like?
Sure, no problem. So, take the box.
So do they all pretty much have the same connector and software for the downloads? Or?
Now, each recorder has, from the manufacturer, has different cables for downloading the data, and they each have their own software. Plug it in, and we have the power on, and then we download the data.
So Casey, what are we looking at here?
Well, when we get download the flight data recorder, you have zeros and ones, and you need to turn that data into engineering units. And this is an example of a plot of data from an event. This is actual data off of the recorder, and this is a tape-based recorder. And this is a 1, and this would be a 0. But this is an example of what data is. And what you have down here is you have 1 second of data. The data starts with the sync code, a unique word. So this is word 1. And you have a full second. It starts here and it ends all the way down here.
So how many of these do you typically look at in a year?
In a year, my group can read out about 100 flight data recorders.
And that's not all accidents, is it?
No, there are events like maybe a turbulence encounter, a hard landing, an engine anomaly. And they're interested in what happened. Nobody got hurt.
You have the data, you've pulled it off of the flight data recorder, you've converted it. How do you actually create a chart?
Yeah, typically we'll start with a blank plot, and then we will go up and bring up the parameter that we have inputted into the decoding file.
So next we can see actually what happens when you've rendered all this out and created a 3D model.
We can take the data from the flight data recorder, the engineering units, and make an animation.
Is this a 3D rendering of a captured set of data from a flight data recorder?
Yes. When it's a major event, we like to take the flight data recorder data, the engineering units, what's been converted, and we like to represent it in a 3D of what is actually happening with the aircraft.
Is that actually the pilot speaking up there?
Yeah, that's from the cockpit voice recorder. Legally, we can't have the audio from the cockpit voice recorder, but we can put the transcript that's been released to the public on an animation. So what you see here are the instruments, and this is all being run by the flight data recorder. And the way the aircraft moved is data from the flight data recorder. So it's much easier to visualize what is happening, and you can take in so much more of the data when you have an animation.
So, National Transportation Safety Board, we've seen how to get the data off the flight recorder. Who knows what's coming up next?
Now, I didn't like that segment. No, that was like, because I was back on another plane 36 hours later, so all I could think about was that animation at the end. That was
actual real animation.
That was all real animation. That was all
actual flight, I mean.
Yeah, and those were all out of terminal events where the plane actually crashed. An event, in case I didn't make it clear, is when something goes wrong with a plane. Most of the events they get are like they hit turbulence and a flight attendant, breaks an arm or just gets somebody gets hurt or injured or they just have a really bad landing and something.
I like those a lot better.
We like those a lot better than the really big ones. Now keep in mind there are 6,000 planes in the air at any given moment above the United States. There's also a better chance of getting killed on the way to the airport in any kind of four-wheeled or two-wheeled vehicle.
I don't buy that.
Than there is. Hey, the math backs it up.
I know they have the math.
50,000 auto fatalities a year in the United States, which is a lot more than you get out of plane accidents.
That'll be driving.
Yeah, well, the numbers don't support you there. Very interesting, very disturbing stuff. I want to thank the NTSB for opening up facilities and letting us look around.
Yes, indeed. Now, still to come, create realistic lightning bolts the easy way with Photoshop expert Bert Monroy is here to show you how. And up next, Mike, our next caller, needs some PC buying advice. We're going to tell him all about buying a new PC when the Screensavers continue.
G4 TV for gamers and Tech TV are connecting to One G4 Tech TV. Stay connected. For more information, go to G4TechTV.com.
Don't forget to register for this week's Screensavers LAN party.
That'll be powered by NVIDIA.
You got to give them a little more hardcore than that, man.
That's powered by
NVIDIA. The game is Novalogic's Joint Ops multiplayer demo. Like many other first-person shooters, this game is packed full of weapons, 35 to be exact. Plus
That's
a
a lot of
slew
weapons.
of new vehicles, from Blackhawks to Little Birds to Stryker attack vehicles and Mark V patrol boats. Plus, this is the coolest part, the game can support over 100 simultaneous players.
That's a big game.
That's a huge game.
That's a serious
Dan
game.
says we're going to do it. Dan says we're going to have 100 players playing
100
this
players
Thursday.
in each game?
Yes.
As long as everybody shows up?
Yeah, we'll get you all in for sure. So go to G4TechTV.com/LAN party and click on register for the LAN party to download the 250 megabyte demo.
Start downloading now.
Start downloading right now, especially if you're on dial-up. And the high scores of tomorrow's game, or Thursday's, that is tomorrow, tomorrow's game will also receive the full version we're going to play next week. Cool. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. And we'll see you Thursday for the Screensavers LAN party.
Powered by NVIDIA.
There we go.
Mike joins us on the phone from Modesto, California. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
I got a question. My friend Luca Brasi, he turned me onto this website. It's called cyberpowersystem.com.
Did you say Luca Brasi?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the hitman from The Godfather, Part 1?
He's Italian and...
Unfortunate coincidence in names.
And, you know, he's a painter. He loves mob things, I guess.
Okay.
So anyways, cyberpowersystems.com, and they got some gaming rigs on there. And I was thinking of building my own, but they have some good prices on there. And I was thinking of buying from them, but I don't know anything about them, you know, if they're legit or anything like that.
Well, whenever you're buying from a new vendor you've never heard of, right? If you're really paranoid about it, you can check. There's a couple sources online you can check to. Well, one, start doing a Google search on them and see whether or not people on the board's been complaining about them. Two, call the Better Business Bureau. They're going to have somewhere in there. They're going to have an address. It's a physical location. Call the Better Business Bureau for their town and see whether or not there are any complaints outstanding on them. The other thing is, like, the prices are really good, but partially because the systems they're selling are really stripped down. If you click on the AMD app on 64, it's like $558.
That sounds like a great, that's $558 bucks.
And given that you're talking about, it's going to cost you about $170 to buy that chip. You're probably going to spend $100 on the motherboard. But start scrolling down what you actually get on that system. So we got a beige case
on the right-hand side right here. Beige case, AMD 2800 processor.
Yeah, we got a VIA Albitron, VIA K8T800 motherboard. Not a bad chipset. Never heard of Albitron for motherboards. We got no brand memory. We got an 80 gigabyte hard drive. That's about $40. We've got NVIDIA GeForce 4 MX440 64 megabyte graphics. That's about $25 for the graphics board. No CD, DVD drive.
And no monitor.
I take it back. There's an Artec CDRW drive. That's about $25 right there. No monitor, and sound is down on the motherboard. So it's a pretty stripped down system.
It's pretty stripped, very stripped down.
Yeah, basically that's like we've done the $500 gaming PCs. You know, that's pretty much at that level.
Plus, it's the ugliest looking thing I've ever seen.
Well, you're not getting that case because you're getting the beige medium tower case.
That's an upgrade.
You're not getting.
I'll take the beige any
more
day.
Money. But Mike, check online for some of the, do some research on the name of the company. Call the Better Business Bureau in their local community to see if there are any complaints on them, and that's pretty much what you do. And you know what? Buy with a credit card, because then if you have a problem with them, you can use a credit card company to return your money or deal with any fraudulent issues.
ResellerRatings.com has a lot of good stuff on there as well.
That's a really good site to check.
Yes, indeed.
Have fun, Mike.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Now let's check in with Sarah for a helpful tip.
And how helpful it is transferring your favorites in favorites and cookies in IE just couldn't be easier. I'm going to show you why. From IE, just click the File menu here, then scroll down to Import and Export. When you see the wizard, hit Next. Then at this point, choose an action to perform. Import, export, cookies, favorites, it's all in your hands at this point. Isn't that easy? Don't go anywhere, because Yoshi's going to share with you a tool that every modder should own. That means you. And after the break, Photoshop expert Bert Monroy is here to supercharge your pictures with some electrifying lightning. What does that mean? You're going to find out when the Screensavers continue.
G4 TV for gamers and Tech TV are connecting to Born G4 Tech TV. Stay connected. For more information, go to g4techtv.com.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose. Coming up in this half hour, we'll be helping more live calls with more calls coming your way. And Yoshi explains why every modder needs a multimeter. We'll tell you all about that. Now, it is time for, if you love lightning effects, and we turn to one person, Bert Monroy, the ultimate Photoshop expert. Welcome back to the show, Bert.
It's good to be here.
I love when you come on and do these tips because everybody loves Photoshop or GIMP if they can't afford Photoshop, and you have one for us today. Has to do with lightning. I haven't seen it before. Show me, what are we doing today?
Well, this happens to be the most requested thing. Now, I've been getting this request for a long time, and I keep putting it off because I kept doing other things that were cooler.
Mm-hmm.
But lightning, I keep getting all the... I must had like at least 70, 80 requests for lightning, so I'm going to do lightning here.
That's the cool thing about your tips is you always do what people recommend. You know,
well, that's what they want to know. They have a problem. They want to do it. They want to learn it. That's what I'm here for.
Let's do it.
Now, the filter I'm going to use to explain it a little bit is going to look at the contrast areas. It's going to look at high contrast areas.
Okay.
Right? So I'm going to start to draw my lightning out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the edge of my shape here. Like I'm drawing this shape here. I want it to come out a little bit in there, maybe come down here, and come out again down there, and go like that. It's this edge along here that's going to be the lightning.
I see.
Now let's just say I want a little arc coming down this way.
All right.
So I'm going to bring it out here, a little further out, and then I'm going to fill this whole area in between. I'm just going to fill all this up with a thick black, right? Just like that.
So why did you draw the two lines to begin with? What does that...
The two edges of this thing here are where the lightning is going to go. Now, I can't have two pieces butting up against each other. That's why I put the edge way over on the other side, and I'll put them together in a little while.
Okay.
Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and blur this. I'm going to give it a Gaussian blur quite a bit, about a 20. Now, the contrast area is what's going to be looked at with this next filter. This filter is called Render Difference Clouds. So when I click on that, it creates this effect right here. Now, it doesn't look like much yet, but when I invert this, I go in here, Command-I, get invert. Now I'm starting to see the lightning in there, right? I'm going to go into my Levels command. I'm going to start to increase the contrast here, bring my blacks all the way over, about like that, and my midtones, bring them all the way down to about that area, a little more.
Oh, this is
like
easy so far.
Here's the lightning. Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to make black the background, so when I cut something out, it's going to hide right behind there, and I'm going to take this little piece right in here and send that to a new layer via cut. And that piece I'm going to bring over and put it right into this area. Now, I'll put that layer in screen mode, so only the light tones are going to show through, and I'll put it right in a position where I want it, right in there like that. And I can erase parts that I don't want later on and so on. When I'm finished with this whole thing, I can merge the whole thing down, and it becomes this lightning that I could bring somewhere else.
Right.
But to bring it somewhere else, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to take this to the next step. All right? I got this little wizard here. I have my son Sean, who does a lot of comic books. I had him whip this up for me this weekend.
Your son drew that?
Yeah, he drew this.
That's awesome.
So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a bunch of bolts coming from that the end of that staff. Now the thing is that the effects I'm going to do happen from the very center, right? So I need a little room because you can see that the point of that staff is not in the center of the image. So I'm going to create it in a separate file. So I'm going to create a file, and this file is going to be a little bigger than the actual image that I have here. This image that I have here, let's go look at it, is 500 by 500 pixels, right? So when I create a new file, and I'm going to set this to pixels, I'm going to set this to, say, let's make it 700 by 700. That's going to give me a lot of room to play with. Now I'm going to pull back just a little bit. Let's pull back so I get to see the area back there, and I'm going to take this and make a long rectangle right in here and fill that with black.
So what is that rectangle doing there?
What's going to happen is, again, the sides is where the lightning is going to be. Right? So I'm going to duplicate this guy over and another. The more of these I have, the more lightning bolts I'm going to have.
Because it's taking it from the sides, right?
It's taking it from the sides.
Okay.
Now, just like before, I'm going to go in there and blur it. Give it the same Gaussian blur. But now I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to give it a filter under Distort called Polar Coordinates, which is going to twist this whole thing like that. Click OK. And that's where I'm going to get my Render Difference Clouds. And I'm going to invert that.
Cool.
And go to my Levels again and bring it down. Like that. And bring this guy over. And I start getting that. Now I'm going to take this even further. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this into hue saturation, give it some color. So I'm going to say, colorize this. Bring that hue, the saturation slider way up, and let's bring this hue over to some nice bluish color, about like that. See, we've got all these different colors. Let's bring it into the blues because that's what the end of that staff looks like.
Right.
Click OK. Now, I bring this image right into this guy here. Now, I put this in screen mode so that the light tones are going to show through, and I can position it right at the end of the staff right there. Now, if I need to move this around, I can always pull back a little bit, and that is a separate layer, so I can go in there and rotate it. So I can take that layer and just rotate it, and that's why I gave myself a lot of extra room. So there it is. Now we can see the guy, and there he is. So we got this lightning coming from all over the place.
That's awesome. So does your son ever call you up and like, Dad, I need some lightning bolts. Seriously, hook me up. And
that's what we do.
Is that what you do? That's all. That's
he draws traditionally, and I do digital.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. So tell me about. You also have so much stuff going on besides the whole Photoshop tricks. You have a book out, of course, Photoshop Studio.
Photoshop Studio, commercial Photoshop with Bert Monroy. I got a bunch of books out. I got tapes out. I mentioned the last show that I'm starting a one-day seminars around the country. The first one's going to be right here in San Francisco.
Oh, very cool.
August 9th. I'm going to be doing at the South San Francisco Convention Center.
Where can people find information about that?
On my website, bertmonroy.com. And also a very important tip for that is actually there's a new site which is going to be coming up between now and the next time I'm on the show, which is July 14th. And I'm putting all the old tutorials, all the stuff that I did for you guys, it's all going to be up there. It's taken me a while to edit all that stuff. There is a lot, 3 years worth of stuff. But it's all going to be up there within the next couple of weeks, and they could just go to my site and download all that stuff.
Very cool stuff. If anybody wants to email you any suggestions for future segments, where should they do that at?
Bert@bertmonroy.com.
Easy enough. Thanks, Bert.
Always a pleasure.
Very awesome. If you want to create some lightning of your own, I have no idea how you just did that. You're going to have to read the article at thescreensavers.com. Now stay where you are. More live calls coming up, but up next, a quick modding tool tip from Yoshi. It's all when the Screensavers continues.
G4 TV for gamers and Tech TV are connecting to Forum G4 Tech TV. Stay connected. For more information, go to g4techtv.com.
A lot of people take for granted simple tools we use all the time. I don't know why people do, because,
well, everyone's always asking, what's the best tools I should get? And, of course, we're always saying, a Dremel and wire cutters.
Right.
But
everyone's like,
we don't mention often enough a multimeter.
This is crucial, though, if you deal with electricity.
Not just for modding, but having it around the house, to work on your car, anything you want to check a battery, you're going to need some way of checking voltage at the very minimum.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
So this is a multimeter. What does a multimeter do?
Basically, some people call them Vom meters. It's voltage, ohms would be resistance, and amperage.
Okay.
Volts is your power, not your.
If electricity is a river, voltage is like the force of the river, amperage is the width of the river, and ohms is the resistance to the river. There's like 9 engineers out there going like, well, kinda.
Kinda. You didn't explain that right, but
it's the best we can do on TV without graphics.
So there's a variety of things on the meters that you're going to want to look into. And by the way, cheap meters aren't necessarily always good ones, like this one right here, which this one doesn't work anymore. It just randomly stopped.
We should also point out that expensive meters, like I bought a pretty nice meter recently, and it died 4 months after I bought it.
That's something you want to recommend. Hey, do some research, find out. Go to the electronics shop and talk to the guys and say, hey, what meter do you use?
Right.
And ask them, because they're going to probably tell you one that might not even be the most expensive, but it happens to work really well.
Exactly.
And you want to make sure you have the proper ranges. If you're going to, voltages are going to go down low enough. If you're going to, do all this stuff.
Are you talking like 0 to 1 volt, 0 to 12 volt?
Yeah, if we take a look at this one here as an example, this is the AC voltage, and you have like 200 millivolts, 200, 600. So you want to have the proper amount of decimal places. Otherwise, you're at a 600 volt range, you're trying to measure a quarter volt, and you're going to say 0, and you're going to think, what? That thing's broken.
So basically, adjusting the range is important, no matter what you're measuring.
Definitely, and some accessories, alligator clips.
What's going on when you say you've got a lot of stuff up here. Alligator clips.
Alligator clips are, say you're taking voltage, and you don't want to hold a probe on here, so you take your alligator clip, and there's my ground. And now I can probe the connectors, and okay, I'm getting the correct 5 volts from the signal wire from this ATX power supply, so I know it's good.
It's kind of like a Lego set, because there's cables that plug in, there's ends that plug onto the cables.
There's all kinds. There's these little micro clamps right here.
They're so cute.
These are basically, you want to clamp onto something. They're real teeny. You got a bunch of little teeny wires you need to take readings off of. It's sometimes hard to probe them without making contact with the wires
maybe
next
the
to
legs
them.
off an integrated circuit that's down
exactly.
on the motherboard.
So you use something like this for that. Those are like a couple bucks. The alligator clips are going to be a few bucks. It's not real expensive stuff. It's pretty easy.
Any brands you can think of to recommend?
I like Fluke, but that goes back to my automotive days. That's
right.
what I have at home.
If you have the money, Fluke's great.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to use an analog one either. They work just as good, just a little bit different in zeroing. They don't automatically do it. You have to manually twist a little dial.
Yoshi loves his tools. To find out these tips and more, head on over to Yoshi's site, yoshi.us/forums. Good stuff, Yoshi. Ladies and gentlemen, next up, Dan's going to come with some information on the next Digital Digs Roadshow appearance.
That's correct. If you haven't heard yet, the G4 Tech TV Digital Digs Roadshow is headed to Morristown, New Jersey this weekend. Now, come on out, meet Yoshi and yours truly on Saturday, June 19th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday, June 20th from noon to 5. And this is all at the Morristown Mall. Now, for more information on this roadshow and future ones, go to g4techtv.com/digitaldigs. Now, cut up after the break. Julian, our next call, needs help. His PC needs a jump start. Find out if we can help him after these messages.
G4 TV for gamers and Tech TV are connecting to Forum G4 Tech TV. Stay connected. For more information, go to g4techtv.com.
Be sure to watch tomorrow's show. Meet the world's first robot receptionist. Plus, we're going to show you how to optimize your PC by tweaking the BIOS and take on the screensavers in our LAN party. That's all coming up on tomorrow's fine blended edition of the Screensavers.
Yes, indeed. Now, Julian joins us on the phone from San Antonio, Texas.
Hi, Julian.
Hey, guys.
How you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
You've had an accident recently in the family.
Yeah, we had a power outage.
Oh, we don't like that because bad things sometimes happen.
What happened? Tell us about it.
Apparently the power went out, and I tried to turn on my PC, and I get no BIOS beep.
Oh. No sound, no green lights on the front, no fan noises, just an utterly dead system.
The power supply is working.
Okay.
The CD-ROM drives are opening, but that's it.
And the power's back on right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to check.
Yeah, because if the power wasn't on and the CD-ROM drawers are open, that's really sketchy. Don't people at home are like, what? Just out of curiosity, is the speaker hooked up to the motherboard, and are you getting any kind of a post code on it?
The PC is hooked up to the motherboard, and I'm getting nothing to the monitor.
I'm sorry, the speaker is hooked up to the motherboard?
Yes.
Okay, so you're
no beeps whatsoever?
No.
That's probably a fried. Well, it's kind of funny. It's like it could be a fried chip, could be a fried motherboard. If it was a fried chip, you should get some kind of some like beep, 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 or that long annoying Morse code. And you look it up in the motherboard manual, and it's like your processor's dead. You're missing your video card. There's no memory. I don't feel like starting up today. Whatever that particular code means.
What goes first when there's a power surge? Is it typically the motherboard? Because it has to travel. The power has to travel through the motherboard to get to the processor.
Usually, like everything gets fried or nothing gets fried.
Right.
A lot of times, what happens is like some little tiny component on your motherboard, some little surface-mounted resistor or capacitor or something gets zapped.
Now the power supply could have been the one that took all the hit, right?
Right. You could try that. Well, the thing is if the CD-ROM drives are opening and fans are spinning up, it's probably not the power supply. What you could do, if you want to, there's either power supply testers that you plug into the power supply. They give you a green light if all the proper voltage is coming out of the power supply. The other thing you can do is Yoshi was just telling you how to use a multimeter, a voltometer. You can pick up an inexpensive voltometer and check the voltage out on each of those to make sure the power supply is working. To diagnose the motherboard and the chip, you basically need to swap in parts, because the other thing you could have going on is a dead graphics card in there. So if you have a graphics card you could swap in the graphics card and make sure that's ready. But you basically need a whole other set of PC parts to cannibalize and plug in.
It sounds like a project you take to a friend's house that has a similar type configuration, or you take to a local computer shop and they charge you $40 an hour or whatever it is to troubleshoot it.
75 or 125 an hour.
That's no good.
No. So, yeah, get together. Find somebody who doesn't mind taking their computer apart with you. Start out by swapping in a graphics card. If you can get a similar processor, you can swap that in or swap a motherboard. But you're going to have to basically go through device by device and see what's going. Just for fun, though, check the graphics card first and then kind of assume the processor and the motherboard are gone.
Now's a good time to drop $50, $75, get a nice little surge protector, too. Definitely.
Or better yet, probably a uninterruptible power supply. Yep. Tend to be a little better than a surge protector.
Thanks for the call.
Good luck, Julian. Now we're going to toss it to EO with a Lee mail tip. Leo?
Oh, T-shirt week continues. And my last T-shirt of the week. I got 5 or 6 on now. But it's appropriate, isn't it? I want to tell you guys, we've talked about PGP and encrypting your email many times. Digital signing and encryption are very important. When you sign your email, you're telling somebody, I am who I say I am. And nowadays, with viruses and Trojan horses and spyware, that's more important than ever. Well, PGP is not the only way to do it. I want to tell you about a company called Thawte, Thawte. These are among the good guys, and one of their products is a free email certificate that will allow you to both encrypt and sign your email so that people know you are who you say you are. With the free certificate, it just attaches your email address. It validates, yes, this is his email address. But as you build your web of trust, you can actually add name and other personal information so that people, when they get your email, know that it really was you. People can also use your certificate to encrypt email to you so that only you can read it. Very easy to get it. You just fill out a simple form. They'll email it to you. It works with Outlook, Outlook Express, and many other email programs. It's free, and I highly recommend it. Thawte also makes money selling certificates to websites, and frankly, if you're getting a certificate, I think Thawte's a good place to go. Thawte. Let's see. We're going to say my surname is Laporte, my first name is Leo, and you put your date of birth in here as well, and that's just to validate that in case you've already signed up. As you see, I already have, and it's going to say, wait a minute, I know another Leo Laporte who was born on November 29th, and we're going to say next. And it's going to give you the certificate. It validates your email address, so it matches it up to make sure that this is really your email address. That's all it's saying initially. But as I said, as you use it, you'll get more and more of the web of trust built up. Thawte.com, highly recommend it. And if you want to send me some private email, just use my certificate. Back to you guys.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Leo. Now, stay where you are. We're going to check our inbox to see what's on your mind when the Screensavers continues.
That's what we do.
It is that time again. But Sarah, how's the CPU design coming? You designing the CPU still?
Yeah, it's going really well, and I'm thinking of performing another denial of service attack on a yet-to-be-named company.
Oh, that's kind of hot.
Don't make me mad. You guys ready for some emails?
We are ready indeed.
Moving on. I have an AGP. This one's from John. I have an AGP video card, which is an ATI 9700 Pro. I also have a GeForce 5200 PCI card. I play games. I use Maya. Is there any way to combine and use both these cards to optimize my gaming and 3D program use?
Well, I mean, first of all, the 3D programming stuff with the 3D Studio Max, all that stuff, it really doesn't matter what graphics card you're running because it's displaying it in 2D, all the 3D calculations are getting done in your processor.
What about the playback, though? Are the animations, are they moving around the objects?
My understanding, and if I'm horribly, desperately wrong about this, by all means, email us at thescreensavers.com or screensavers@techtv.com, but generally those renderings, those playback renderings are usually so low powered compared to high-end 3D games, you're not going to notice a difference.
Why do they have special CAD cards? I always wondered that.
Back in the day, it was necessary because there was, they were updoing. It's kind of like the cards they used to use to accelerate certain functions under video editing.
Right.
They would design a set of processors to just do calculations faster than the main desktop processor could do. It'd be interesting to see. I haven't heard of anything that's going to allow you to actually combine two agents because we were talking about the closest thing we've heard to that is I think Alienware brought the rights to a company that will allow you to basically take two PCI Express cards.
Right, divide the screen.
Yeah, divide the screen. But there's nothing you're going to be able to do with two separate cards and two separate companies and across two AGP slots.
Interesting, though. Interesting question.
Yeah.
Next one comes from Chuck. He says, my 16-month-old daughter cracked one of my PS2 games.
Oops.
Uh-oh. She should have known better at 16 months. I thought it would be better if I could back up my games to my PC. I remember you saying a few months back you could play GameCube games from a PC. Can I do that with my PS2?
You can, but you need to have a modded PS2 to play the backed up. What's the alcohol 120%? Will actually do the burn. You have to choose the PS2 drop down. It'll burn and back up. Then you have a perfect backed up copy, but there's still like some errors or some information that it looks for that it can't find. So you need to have an actual mod chip installed. Mod chips on the PS2, biggest pain, dude. Like 30 different solder points. It's a real pain.
Better to store the PS2 discs far out of the reach of the little ones.
Or pay Yoshi. He does it on the side, but that's on the DL. Don't tell anybody about that one.